Ivern is usually the 1v9 early game wizard assassin, but I have found a player who managed to hit high-low with a no-risk high-reward top lane pick instead of your average ADC. But first, let me introduce you to today's sponsor, Dota2. They are a huge supporter of our channel, and I wanted to tell you about the new Steam Summer Sale, where you can buy brand new games with an insane 20 to 80% discount. If you want to buy a new game for yourself or one of your loved ones, this is the best place. Go check out the best deals in the description. Our player today is named Trash Company 8. He started playing League all the way back in Season 11, so he's a true veteran. He immediately hit Bronze 3 in his first season, which is truly impressive. He used to play regular meta top laners like Ashe and Leauge, but after reaching high-low, he got bored and tried out some new off-meta picks. Then, once he went outside by accident and saw a tree. He was so amazed by it that it left a very big impact on him. This is how we came across with Ivern. He immediately took him to top lane and started to win games after games. His playstyle is completely different from the average mid lane Ivern. He even takes Smite instead of Ghost or Clarity, but more about that later. This pick is not about carrying your games, but rather much about being as annoying as possible, flooding your team with shields and bushes, and making the enemy top laner lose their sanity and getting PTSD just from seeing an Ivern ever again. But why top lane? Well, it's because most top laners have never actually seen grass in their life, and playing against a champion who is covered in grass confuses them so much that they will forget how to play the game properly. This pick is extremely good against Vayne top players, because Daisy reminds them of their long-seen father, which will cause them mental trauma, rendering them useless for the rest of the game. So how does Ivern top work? It all starts in the early game. At level 1, he solo invades the enemy buff, and this is where Smite comes into play. He can immediately smite the enemy buff with his passive, gaining a huge head start and starting to annoy the enemy jungler. Jungle players are extremely sensitive beings, so they will start to perma-invade your jungle where you can farm free kills on them. After they invade, he walks back to lane and starts poking his opponent with his range auto attacks and proccing AoE. The enemy will be so confused seeing an Ivern top that their brain won't function correctly. Using his long-ranged Q and his bushes, he can annoy the enemy top laner so much that they will just run him down, thus setting up easy ganks for his jungler. He smites the first cannon wave, then goes home to buy some items. He mostly builds Shurelias for the bonus movement speed, which lets him catch up with his enemies. At level 6, Ivern reaches his first huge power spike. Most top-lane players have never seen Ivern in a real match, so they won't expect the damage from Daisy. Using this, he can solo kill the enemy top laner easily, then push the wave with the help of Daisy. If Ivern manages to get a solo kill, the pride and sanity of the enemy top laner will break, and they will be so tilted that they won't be able to play the game properly. In the mid game, he continues to invade the enemy jungle with his passive and goes to mid lane where his team starts to A-run. This is actually what Ivern wants. He can shield infinitely, and they are in a 6v5 because of Daisy, so they can't lose. Enemy assassins are completely useless because Ivern can shield and CC so much, and assassin players don't have the IQ to buy an item to counter it. But the late game is where Ivern truly shines. By this point, the enemy will be so tilted that they will do anything to end the game. The enemy top laner is already out of the game because of the early game brain damage, so your team has a very big advantage. In teamfights, you just have to spam shields on your carry, and Daisy basically does the rest of the work for you. You don't want to die early on, because your team will be completely useless without you. If your carry dies, the fight is basically over, so you have to do anything to keep him alive. Ivern top doesn't really have any bad matchups. The only problem that your team will lack damage, so you are relying on your ADC and jungler to win the game. Your only way to lose the game is if your bot lane feeds, which will probably happen in every game. But even if you lose the game, which is very not probable, you will be the true winner. The enemy will suffer permanent brain damage playing against you, sending them on a losing streak and making them unable to go outside of their house, because they will get immediate PTSD if they see a tree. And because they can't leave their homes, they will turn into GenshinImpact players who feed on the lost souls of children. He builds Shurelia's first item, then Zhonya's and Chemtech Purifier. He gets Ionia boots every time for the extra ability haste, and normally the game ends before he can buy more items. These items are extremely cheap, so you will have an item advantage on everyone. He takes Aerie for the early game poke and extra shielding, and perfect timing to tilt the enemy top laner more. But would I recommend picking Ivern top? Well, of course, absolutely no. Even Trash Company 8 himself has never managed to win a game with it. This pick is so high risk and low reward that it doesn't even deserve to be clarified as off meta, it is just straight up trolling. Or maybe we just hated all his games. If you want to see more of him, his Twitch is in the description along with our sponsor, Dota 2, so please check them both out. Thanks so much for watching.